streaming. Get this playing that way.
Time to stop the stream.
Start the stream?
Yeah, we're going to be live streaming our conversation.
Yeah. Well, you're probably going to have some background shit in it.
Well, that's fine.
Just when you're in this room, just try to keep the language to a minimum, please, because
we are representing the Tolkien Society in this part.
Which is a...
Talk random on that too, honey.
No, I didn't. I forgot to.
I'll talk to him.
Yeah, we got to try to control our language as best as possible.
So the cussing and stuff has to be it.
Yeah, because...
Zilch.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not zilch, but at the very bare minimum.
Preferably zilch.
Yeah, preferably zilch, but if you can't, like, there are going to be some times when you can't.
No cussing while
doing
this web thing.
Where you forget and shit.
Mark, like, this book is really useful for, like, naming characters and shit.
We are representing the Tolkien Society in this portion of the country.
Guys, it is streaming, so, yeah. I'm just trying to... Oh, this is what I'm looking for. Nope, come on. Oh, okay, so that's how that works.
We could do the sound of smoke.
We considered that, but internet connection is problematic.
Right now it's already subpar. So.
That's why we've got that cable going.
I was going to suggest. I was going to suggest running. Do we still have the router out there?
Yeah, but then we would have to fucking bring the cable. Well, I mean.
Okay. No, you're dropping F-bombs, man.
Oh.
I'm trying to
I didn't
point
even
them out
notice.
to you.
It's so
you gotta be careful.
It's so natural to me, man. I'm sorry. I'm trying. I'm just. Son of a.
I'm gonna have to set up a swearing jar for while we're doing this.
Is there any way to, like, set up, like, some kind of swearing filter on the computer? That'd be sweet.
Yeah, like every time it detects a swear word, it
I wish.
Yeah.
Or just completely, like, just takes out. So you just have a blank spot where the swear word should be.
Yeah.
Because obviously, if you hear a beat, you know there's a swear word.
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of know.
I would abuse the hell out
It would be.
Yeah, I know you would.
Okay, so you are what? Why is it saying? Hold on.
My lips didn't stop me, but I couldn't get past your eyes.
It says we're.
Yeah.
It's funny. You're lame.
No, we are okay. It's full of crap then.
What is?
YouTube. It says we're offline, but we are streaming. Like if I hit the play button, you can see it's streaming. So I don't know what that's about, but whatever. We won't worry about it.
Yeah. And even if it isn't online, we can always upload it. So.
No, we can't because it's not.
Oh,
It's just streaming. YouTube's supposed to record it automatically. But anyways, so we can get this underway. What up? Oh, all right. Yeah. So, good evening. It is 4:40 p.m. And this meeting of the Helm's Deep Tolkien Society is officially underway. Yeah, do it behind camera.
They're gonna be so curious too. They're gonna be like looking at the video. What are they talking about?
Right. So we have a long meeting ahead of us, but before we jump into the discussion portion, I do have one big announcement. I did already mention it, but I wanted to mention it on stream as well. As of last night, I am an officially registered member of the Tolkien Society, which makes this not only the first meeting of 2017 for us, but it makes it our first official meeting as a group of the Tolkien Society. So, yay, one step closer.
Well, I'm going to be getting registered as soon as I get my tax return. So
Right.
I'm a second registered member in the Tolkien.
Yes, and that will help.
Yeah.
And that was the only big announcement I had before we got into the discussion portion. If anyone else has...
My big announcement, not really a big announcement, my announcement.
It's a big announcement.
This book is freaking amazing.
Yeah.
I've only read a chapter and a half, and I already want. Like I keep meaning to take it with me when I go to work and stuff. I almost did it there. When I go to work, and literally every single night, like I'll start driving, I'll make it about halfway to work, and be like, I forgot the book. Get on! I'll start like a fan.
That's
This
where you
video-
just go to
what?
Wikipedia or something.
I don't want a synopsis. I want to actually read it.
Well, no, I mean, look up stuff about Tolkien.
I don't understand why.
Wouldn't take data or anything like that.
Oh, I can't wait till you get to the story of Turin. It's so good.
Yeah, right now I just started chapter 2, which. Oh yeah, no, I made it to the part of the Maiar, and that's the like I just read that little
I'm gonna
subtext right there. And I was
like,
like,
I don't know.
that would be neat.
Or hopefully, whatever.
Just in case you could start a recording thing as well.
Helm's Deep Tolkien Society.
It's basically kind of.
Because he's saying that he's clicking on the link, but it says that it's unavailable, which I don't understand.
Like, who are you talking to?
Justice, because he wanted to watch the stream.
Okay.
I'll keep tabs on that. But, yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying the Silmarillion so far.
I really am.
That's definitely something.
And you know the reason why it bugs me even more, though, the fact that I keep forgetting the book? I just made it to that part.
Oh, the Maiar. Yeah.
And that's the part I've been one of the parts I've been looking forward to the most.
Yeah, because they do talk about the big ones as far as the Silmarillion. Like, he'll mention of course he mentions them by their true names. They're Gandalf and Saruman. Their true names escape me. He briefly mentions them, but he also specifically focuses on I can't remember her name. She is Luthien's mother.
Galadriel. Galadriel.
Who?
Galadriel. That's what he said.
Oh, no.
I don't know if I'll even say that.
Galadriel? Yeah, no, she's full elf. She's not.
She's the mother of Arwen.
I actually have no idea what
No, Galadriel isn't.
Oh, she's the grandmother.
Right, yeah.
Sorry, my
Galadriel's daughter was
Yeah.
I honestly have no idea what you're talking about.
Celebrian was her daughter.
Arwen's half elf, isn't she?
Elrond's half elf.
Elrond's half elf.
Yeah.
Okay.
Arwen's of that same line, so she would technically be considered half elf as well. But anyways, if we have no more announcements,
I haven't read the Silmarillion. That's my announcement.
no.
You should when I'm done with it, if Mickey doesn't mind.
Maybe.
It's actually really good.
Yeah, like, it's actually been a really long time since I read the Silmarillion, but
Yeah.
it's a good book.
Yeah, no, like I was actually reading this one portion. It's obviously in the very first chapter there. I was reading this one portion where Melkor literally was making everything the exact opposite that the rest of the Valar were trying to do. Like when the Valar would build a mountain, he would take that mountain and turn it into a valley.
Mm.
That's why
No, come on. Don't be a pain in my butt. So anyways, we might as well get into the discussion proper. Today's discussion, as you're all aware, is adaptations of Tolkien's work.
Is he able to catch the stream now? Or?
No, he's still looking for it. Adaptation can include the Peter Jackson films. It can include the Peter Jackson films, both Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. It can include the old cartoon films, because I will be talking about those a little bit. I would even throw games on the table as possible adaptations to discuss. Well, because there are some games that I would argue are better than others as far as...
One game in particular that I absolutely despise.
Which one?
The one we keep playing! We keep thinking maybe House Rules will make it better.
The board game, yeah.
House Rules should make it better, right? Yeah, let's try it!
Nope.
Nope, it still sucks. How about we do it this way? Let's try it. Does it work? Nope, it still sucks.
But I mean, that's just bad game design overall.
Better than the card game.
I would argue...
Careful there, Dylan.
That's just bad game design overall. I'm specifically looking more at, like, okay, Battle for Middle-earth 2. I would say that's a pretty good adaptation
That
because
is my personal favorite.
not only is it just a good game, but it does highlight the battles that were going on in the North during the Lord of the Rings. Just that the book.
I mean, yeah. If you play the campaign, there's a campaign for each race. You know,
right.
There's a campaign for the Uruk-hai, for the orcs, for For the elves, the dwarves, the humans, literally everyone. You can do the campaign for each one of them. I think there's one for the evils too.
Sauron.
I just need Orc.
Alright, hold on a second.
I really liked the Third Age of Middle Earth for Game Boy Advance. You ever play that one?
Was that the one where you played as Frodo and
No.
no?
It was.
That's the Fourth Age.
Oh jeez.
Wow.
But no, it's the one where it's an RTS. What do you consider RTS?
RTS is where like you have armies that you control.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like you choose a commander, like your main commander, dude. Like I think you can choose between like Gandalf or Aragorn or like Elrond for the good guys, and then like Witch King, the Mouth of Sauron. No, is it the Mouth of Sauron? I think it's like Saruman, the Witch King, or the Mouth of Sauron. I don't know. But like you choose your main commander, and then like for each battle you choose like sub commanders, and then you have like you either control armies of good or of evil.
Right.
You do like it's got like all the main battles that were in the Lord of the Rings, and it's got some extra ones like I can't think of any off the top of my head.
Actually, sorry to interrupt you, Mickey, but Mark, now that you've got direct connection, you could try streaming on Facebook now.
No, because you have to use a phone.
That's stupid.
Yep. They don't have any way set up for desktop streaming on.
There's so many words that are going through my head right now.
Right.
I wish they did have a
Well, the recording will be available after the fact. He can't seem to find the stream, but YouTube will record it and make it available after the fact. So that's just gonna be the. Yeah, he can't. Like he's. My buddy Justice from Texas, he's trying to catch the stream because he wants to watch, but it's not coming up for him. So, but anyways, so yeah, that was like an example I was giving was, Battle for Middle-earth 2. I would say that's a pretty good adaptation because it does focus on battles that did happen,
but it also allows you to do your own.
Right.
If you want, you can play as Sauron the entire time and conquer all of Middle-earth.
Whereas then you have a game like Shadow of Mordor, which
That was an awesome game.
doesn't follow Tolkien's writing at all, nor does he. Look, the game glamorizes violence, which Tolkien would have really hated.
Yeah. Now see, my problem with the Shadow of Middle-earth was because it was extremely redundant. Like you did almost the same thing over and over and over again, and it was boring.
Yeah,
it was one of those games I played like about halfway through it, and I was like, no way, screw this, man. I'm not playing.
I literally just have to finish branding all the war chiefs, and then I have one mission left. And then like at this point, I might as well finish it.
Well, I mean, you're that far in.
But at the same time, because I also wanted to say, hey, I played this whole game beginning to end. I have every right to criticize it. But yeah, it glamorizes violence, like
that's awesome.
Up the yin yang. But Tolkien would have hated it.
Is he able to?
Tolkien fought in World War I. He saw that kind of violence firsthand. He
look at
didn't.
Here's our resident warg. Very protective of his family.
But now let's speak specifically of the Peter Jackson movies, because that's where the bulk of this conversation is going to come from. I feel like.
Movies.
Let's see.
Best adaptations ever.
Kiki's not a warg.
Plus, I want to save the cartoons for after the Peter Jackson films, since more people are coming out with Peter Jackson films. So, yeah, we can start this off with just general statements about his films, or we can talk about specific examples. I don't care either way. We can do a mix. Am I the only one? I know that's the big spectacle of the third movie, but I do want to go back and look at just how much of the movie is taken up by that one battle, because when I watched it with you the other night, it felt like that one battle scene took so long.
Probably like a half an hour.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
It's a long. Like I felt exhausted.
So are you talking about like
that.
from the beginning of the siege when they get there to like the
Yeah,
end of the
from the
battle?
beginning of the siege to the end of the battle, that's a huge portion of
Oh
the
yeah,
film.
and it goes over like it cuts away to like
Yeah.
Frodo's heart and like,
Yeah,
and then it goes back to the battle.
In all reality, the reason, if you really think about it, though, the reason why they do it for like that kind of thing for film adaptations is because they've got to keep people. I mean, like people who read the books and they don't really, they don't really like that kind of thing. But people who haven't read the books, if you think about it, they want to keep them drawn in, and that action keeps them there.
You can have
That's
other
going to
ways
lead into something I want to argue, though, where is that necessarily okay? Because part of, you saw it yourself, you watched the debate that the Tolkien Society had.
I didn't watch all of it. I actually only watched about halfway through it, and
Okay.
then I stopped watching.
Well, one of the things that the people for the notion was arguing, they were arguing that
That's the name of Peter.
the Peter Jackson films boosted sales of the books.
Which I think
The Peter Jackson films increased the number of people joining the Tolkien Society.
Yeah.
Overall, the Peter Jackson films helped bring attention to that work. And yeah, sure, that's great. But is that necessarily okay when they're going into the writing expecting big action spectacle? Because they're not going to find big action spectacle when they fucking... I just screwed up. There's my one. When they go into this, they're not going to get the big action spectacle that they got from the movie. So it is bringing attention to Tolkien, but it's also
they're going in with unrealistic expectations.
Right, it's false advertisement.
Well, I wouldn't say false advertisement, but it definitely gives false pretenses.
Well, I would say false advertisement because of this quote I have from Christopher Tolkien right here.
Oh, here we go.
Tolkien has become a monster devoured by his own popularity and absorbed into the absurdity of our time. The chasm between the beauty and seriousness of the work and what it has become has overwhelmed me. The commercialization has reduced the aesthetic and philosophical impact of the creation to nothing. There is only one solution for me: to turn my head away. They eviscerated the book by making it an action movie for young people aged 15 to 25, and it seems that The Hobbit will be the same kind of film.
which it was.
Yeah. I would say it was even more so than The Lord of the Rings.
So much more so.
Now, where he said that, like, the only thing he can do at this point is just turn his head and basically act like it doesn't exist. Now, I would say that's probably the best solution for people who didn't like it because it didn't hold true to what Tolkien's vision was for the books.
I'd say it's even worse for him, though. I mean, come on, that's his father's legacy right there.
And he's seeing it, stomped on.
When I want to watch The Hobbit, I want to see a fun adventure with silly dwarves and I don't want all this crazy battle sequences
You
and
see a crazy adventure with silly dwarves.
And even if
most of it spends around the dwarves.
And it's a lot. It's a lot.
All right, are we considering A as bad or?
Yeah.
if you would see it on cable television, I personally don't care.
So things like ass, bitch, damn, that doesn't matter. Okay. Most of the film is based around the dwarves kicking ass.
Yeah. And it's a lot more the dwarves are a lot more serious and dark and honestly I think the portrayal of Thorin in the later part of the films it gets a lot darker and he's a lot more
Oh, speaking of which, speaking of The Hobbit, Mark, I did find a copy. Didn't find it, but I was looking up on Amazon copies of The Hobbit and everything. I did find the graphic novel. I think it's $17 on where it has the art that was illustrated by someone who read the books only and was this is what I picture the characters as.
Right.
So it's actually that's. I really think you should definitely, if you can, at some point check it out. Even if you get an ebook copy that you read for free or whatever, you should definitely check it out because I think the graphic novel is pretty good.
Right. I'm specifically looking for a letter that Tolkien wrote because while Tolkien was alive, someone sent him a film script for adaptation of The Lord of the Rings, and the whole letter is him nitpicking the script.
Well, I mean, obviously it's his works,
Right.
He's seeing something that he spent years working on and turned into something he didn't want it to,
But while I'm looking for that, anyways, the Hobbit series suffered from more problems than just.
There might actually be because there's copies of letters from Tolkien to certain people in the beginning of this book here, the beginning of this copy.
It's probably the brief note letter I was telling you about, where it's like 10,000 words of
this thing, the letter.
Significantly shorter? Oh, significantly longer.
Yeah.
Then it could be that letter.
Okay, well, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
This is sounding like that
13,
letter. It's a long letter.
14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 pages is the letter.
Can I see
a
that
letter
real
from
quick?
J.R.R. Tolkien to Milton Walden or Wallace or something like that.
Let me briefly say this real quick. There's a specific. It would have been later in here. Yep, this is the letter.
Is it?
Yeah, because I remember I was listening to the EA Tolkien Society. Like, they spent several meetings reading the letter aloud and discussing it paragraph by paragraph. That's the letter.
Yeah. 19 pages.
Yeah, you will find that in pretty much every, like, second edition and onward, every copy of the Silmarillion has that letter at the front now. My copy doesn't, because
I read through part of it, man, and like I was like, man, he's ripping this thing to shreds.
Yeah.
I think after reading a few pages of it, I was like, I can't anymore. You know, like this is
too rough.
Yeah. It's like he went in freaking. He was like, bite the pillow, I'm going in raw kind of thing. You know.
That's right.
He was really freaking rough with that.
So,
able to get the stream or
no. He might have just given up. Okay, the author's comments also give an indirect glimpse of what he might have thought of Peter Jackson's film. Tolkien's review of the 1957 synopsis dwelled on one scene from The Fellowship of the Ring in particular, the Weathertop confrontation of Aragorn and the four hobbits with the Black Riders. Yeah. I have spent some time on this passage, he wrote, as an example of what I find too frequent to give me pleasure or satisfaction. Deliberate alteration of the story, in fact and significance, without any practical or artistic object. He gave examples of what displeased him. And some of these really do apply to the scene from the Peter Jackson film. Strider does not whip out a sword in the book. Naturally not. His sword was broken. Mm-hmm. Why then make him do so here?
He actually had the broken sword Narsil instead of just a sword.
Why then make him do so here in a contest that was explicitly not fought with weapons? The Black Riders do not scream, but keep a more terrifying silence. Aragorn does not blanch. The riders draw slowly in on foot in darkness and do not spur. There is no fight. Sam does not sink his blade into the ringwraith's thigh, nor does his thrust save Frodo's life. A scene of gloom lit by a small red fire with the wraiths slowly approaching as darker shadows until the moment when Frodo puts on the ring and the king steps forward revealed would seem to be far more impressive than yet one more scene of screams and rather meaningless slashings.
How did they resolve that conflict in the book?
In the book, I will bring that scene up right now for you. Lothlorien, Council of Elrond, many meetings, Flake to the Ford, a knife in the dark. I believe it's this scene, should be.
Is that the way of Baron and Luthien right, that we just passed?
Yes, it is.
I love that. I had like the first few stanzas like memorized for a while.
Okay, so it's like I'll just focus on the last two paragraphs because that pretty much shows it all. Immediately, though everything else remained as before, dim and dark, the shapes became terribly clear. He was able to see beneath their black wrappings. There were 5 tall figures, 2 standing on the lip of the dell, 3 advancing. In their white faces burned keen and merciless eyes. Under their mantles were long gray robes.
So they could actually see their faces in the book.
Well, this is after he puts on.
Okay.
Yeah. Upon their gray hairs were helms of silver, in their haggard hands were swords of steel. Their eyes fell on him and pierced him as they rushed towards him. Desperate, he drew his own sword, and it seemed to him that it flickered red as if it was a firebrand. Two of the figures halted. The third was taller than the others. His hair was long and gleaming, and on his helm was a crown. In one hand he held a long sword, and in the other a knife. Both the knife and the hand that held it glowed with a pale light. He sprang forward and bore down on Frodo. At that moment Frodo threw himself forward on the ground, and he heard himself crying aloud, "O Elbereth Githoniel." At the same time he struck at the feet of his enemy. A shrill cry rang out in the night, and he felt a pain like a dart of poisoned ice pierce his left shoulder. Even as he swooned he caught, as though a swirling mist, a glimpse of Strider leaping out of the darkness with a flaming brand of wood in either hand. With a last effort, Frodo, dropping his sword, slipped the ring from his finger and closed his right hand tight upon it.
So like the torch thing, like, so
literally all that happened was after they stab him with the Morgul blade, Strider shows in with the torch, and they willingly retreat. They don't even put up a fight. Because they don't have to.
Well, because at that point they've already stabbed Frodo.
Exactly.
So, Frodo's going to, as far as they're concerned, he's going to turn to the darkness.
Right. So there was no need for a fight there.
Yeah.
They went away. They did what they, at the very minimum, would have wanted to do.
Yeah.
So there was no need for a fight there.
No need for, like, Aragorn, seeing one of the things moving, and he, like, whoa!
It throws it, and it goes, it's
bullshit.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah. But there are a couple of cases of that in just the first movie alone. Mm-hmm. Perfect example, when we were watching the first movie. The final fight scene with the Uruk-hai.
Yeah.
Friggin' Lurtz throws his shield and, catches Aragorn by the neck against the tree. And, come on, that's some cartoon crap right there.
That's the kind of thing you would see. That's the kind of thing you would see in, like, a Roadrunner cartoon.
Right.
Yeah.
Almost got him,
but not quite. In the book, Aragorn didn't even do any fighting in that scene.
Right, exactly. By the time
he just ran through the woods looking for Frodo, and then he just saw Boromir laying half dead against the tree.
Yeah,
and then he set up the words.
Was Lurtz even a character?
No, not at all.
Here's the thing. When you come to that scene in the book, what happens is you see it from...
at first,
you're following Aragorn, and Aragorn hears fighting off in the distance.
It's from Sam's perspective at that point.
No, this specifically is the very first chapter of the Two Towers.
Oh yeah, well, I was talking about how it ends with Sam going after Frodo after he loses Aragorn. That's how the Fellowship ends with him going off with Frodo, and then.
But the fighting hasn't even started.
In the movie, the whole fighting sequence was in the beginning of Two Towers. Technically, the whole thing with Boromir and all that shit.
Another thing that I actually found on Amazon that I saw and I was like, I own it. It was the complete works of J.R.R. Tolkien, Unfinished Tales, Silmarillion, Lord of the Rings trilogy, everything. All in a case, all hardcover.
There's your one.
Yeah, all hardcover, $150.
Wow.
I actually would have expected more.
Yeah, so would I.
For all hardcover.
Yeah.
But you want to know what it probably doesn't have?
What's that?
Histories of Middle-earth.
It does.
Really?
It has the Histories of Middle-earth.
I find that shocking for that price then, because that's a 12-volume series on its own.
It was a used copy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It
makes more sense now.
So let me bring it up. I actually might be able to bring it up.
That would be a big box.
Right.
Yeah, it was, dude. Seriously. Like, in the picture, like, they showed it in perspective to a mannequin. Well, not an actual mannequin. It was like a silhouette of a person.
Right.
In perspective of that, the person had to hold it like this.
I believe it.
So.
But the point I was trying to make anyways was, and Tolkien tried to make this point himself, was but I get it, when we're adapting a story from a book to a movie, there's the need to make things visually interesting.
Yeah.
But as the series went on, Peter Jackson focused more and more on the action sequences.
Yeah.
Trying to make them bigger and longer and more stylized. And quite frankly, Tolkien would have found that sickening.
The whole thing that started kind of happening with Legolas, where he started doing all these crazy.
Yeah, like the sliding down the stairs, firing off arrows.
Or the whole Oliphant killing business.
Which, for the record, no elf of the Third Age would have ever killed that beast. Brought it down, sure, made it so it couldn't do anything else, but not killed it.
And then the whole contest between Legolas and Gimli, which was a brief thing in the Battle of Helm's Deep, but it didn't go any further than that.
Right.
And then it just became this long running joke in the rest of the thing.
Gimli being reduced to comic relief in the films
Oh man.
really is disheartening. Like, even if we ignore his being reduced to comic relief.
My mistake.
What up?
Sorry to interrupt you guys' conversation there. Apparently, it's just the complete history of Middle Earth.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that still makes more sense.
Yeah. And it's actually more now. They increased the
191.
price. Yeah, they increased the price of it. It's just the complete history of Middle Earth. That was my mistake, but yeah, still, it's something I really like. I saw it, and I was like, I want it. You know, like look, Mark, just look at how beautiful that looks.
Right.
Just look at that.
Right. So, even just ignoring Gimli being reduced to comic relief, there's probably one scene in particular that, because don't get me wrong, I love the actor for Gimli in the movie. Yeah, he was. I could have picked a better.
Mark, trust me.
Do it. No.
I want you to trust me.
But like, there's one scene in particular that irks me. They're in the Mines of Moria, and they come across Balin's tomb, and Gimli in the movie just starts, to comical levels, starts wailing. Oh! You want to know what Tolkien writes for that moment?
He just turns his hood.
Right, Frodo's saying he is dead then, said Frodo. I feared it was so. Gimli cast his hood over his face.
Yeah.
That's it.
Like he's mourning. Like
Yeah.
It's what
It's a subtle thing. It's not,
oh!
no. Yeah, we're going to yell at Pippin for, tossing a skeleton down a well, but we're not going to yell at Gimli for going, ah!
And that's another thing. Merry and Pippin also being comic relief.
Yeah, they
did have several comic relief parts, but there are quite a few parts though where Merry and Pippin they were very serious characters.
Well, yeah, but they had a lot, especially in the Fellowship. They had a lot of comic relief parts.
Like, if you really think about it, actually, if you really think about it, you look back on the movies, if you really think about it, Merry and Pippin, the only parts where they actually have 100% serious roles is at the end of each film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And how about hang on?
That was the third one.
Yeah, the third one.
Not at the end of the world.
Some people think the water brought them in, and that trolls just spring out of holes in the ground.
Yeah.
What were you saying? I caught part of what you were saying.
They're the comic relief at the end of the third one. They don't do anything besides just jump around.
Well, yeah, but they all.
And then look sad when Frodo's waiting for the Grey Havens.
Yeah.
Which, it is a shame because they are more involved in
And they also I also really didn't like how they didn't really touch down as to why Frodo and Bilbo were leaving. They just kind of were like, oh, they want a new adventure.
Yeah, it's
kind of like, no, that's not. It was because they were linked directly to the magic of the ring because of how long they carried it.
Yeah.
So when it was destroyed, without going there, they would just
right. Yeah, I don't know. It's tricky business. Now, something else. I wasn't going to bring this up because I'm trying to actively avoid talking about too many things that happen in the extended cuts, only because I'm of the opinion that theatrical cuts were the first impression. That was your first chance as a director to get it right.
Yeah.
Sure, you can go back and put everything back in for an extended cut, but those critics aren't looking at extended cuts.
No, they're looking at the theatrical release,
right?
Because that's where they get their idea of how good it was or how bad it was.
Right. So I'm trying to actively avoid talking about too many stuff that happens in the extended cuts. Me personally, anyway.
Yeah.
But there is one thing in the extended cuts I do have to talk about, and it is the Mouth of Sauron scene in the third movie, because in that scene you have. First of all, you have the Mouth of Sauron saying, oh, Frodo's dead, game over, man, game over, go home, you've lost. Which, whatever, that's not that much of a change from the book where...
He throws the mythical...
Right, he wasn't saying that in the book, he's not saying Frodo's dead, he's saying Frodo's captive.
Yeah.
And there is a difference there.
Here's the proof, we have his stuff.
Right. it was less about trying to inspire despair and more about, hey, we have your
It was
ally.
more of like a threat.
Go away.
It was more of like a threat than like.
Wait, hold on, what are we talking about here? I'm sorry.
The mouth of Sauron.
Yeah.
When they march to the Black Gates and the mouth of Sauron comes out before the big battle. In the movie, he shows the mithril coat and says Frodo's dead.
In the extended.
In the film, yeah. In the book, he still shows the mithril coat, but he doesn't say Frodo's dead. He says we have him captive.
Yeah, like there's nothing you can do. It's game over for you guys.
Right. Well, it's specifically saying if you don't turn away now, his situation is going to be made even worse.
It was a scare tactic.
Right.
Okay.
So that it's a minor change, and that's not what upsets me about that scene. What upsets me is how Aragorn responds in the movie versus the book. In the book, Aragorn responds how you would expect a king to respond. He says, all right, well, we're still going to have this fight. And then they go their separate ways and they get ready.
Yeah.
As is tradition.
Yeah.
And in the movie, he just lops his head off.
Yeah, while the mouth of Sauron isn't looking, he decapitates the guy.
Wow.
And then
Starting to sound like Joffrey type shit right there.
right. And it's
Oh, you want to play that game?
And it's like, you know, when
know, like-
yeah,
it's like the final.
I think when you're talking to an emissary, you don't just like, oh, screw you, and just chop
This
his head
isn't
off.
300, guys. Take a freaking chill pill here.
This isn't Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking 300 because the messenger was like,
Yeah.
like you have
Yeah.
this.
You
My
don't-
king doesn't respond by killing the messenger.
You don't kill the messenger.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care how evil they might be. It's just something you don't.
Or how
Because,
badass
hey,
they're supposed to be.
You know what Tolkien would consider it? You know what the One Ring would have considered that? A misdeed. Which gains you shadow points, which puts you on the path of corruption. Oh, he would have considered that horrible.
Yeah.
It's like the final nail on the coffin of what they did with Aragorn's character in the book, because one of my I know not everyone agrees with me on this, but I don't necessarily like how they portrayed Aragorn in the films, because I definitely see the ranger there.
Yeah.
Definitely see it. I don't
But
see
you
much
don't
of the king.
Yeah, you don't see the leader of the king. Yeah.
And
Like, I mean, in the movies, they portray Aragorn as someone who is consistently running away from his past.
yeah. And even by the time of the third movie, even after the Battle of the Pelennor Fields and when they're going to the
When
Black
he's
Gate,
supposed to have accepted the fact that
right,
he's a king.
by that point, there's no getting
reason,
past the fact that everyone knows who he is. They know what he is.
There's no reason.
He's dressed
Yeah.
like kingly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's no at that point in time. There's no reason why he would still be running from it, because he's obviously already accepted.
So you have him at that point, and then you have his meeting with the mouth of Sauron, and he decapitates the guy, an emissary.
Yeah.
That doesn't. No.
Yeah.
No. Come on. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's hard too because I do still really like The Lord of the Rings, the Peter Jackson films.
Mhm.
I do still really like them, but it is wearing down on me looking at them after having read the books and going, oh, come on.
Yeah.
Because, like, yeah, changes are inevitable, but as far as I'm concerned, I'm the type of person where, I'm the type of person where if you want to change some scenes, go for it. If you want to change some of the events, go for it. So long as it doesn't change the characters and in fundamental ways, and so long as it doesn't change the themes and philosophies that the original source material was trying to present.
Yeah.
Because that's what's more important than the surface content. It's the sub-content that you want to really preserve.
Another thing that kind of bugs me is just let's face it, it's Hollywood. They need some kind of big romantic part. Arwen's huge presence in Lord of the Rings really bothers me.
Yes, because they're like, oh, let's make her a bigger role, but then they
It's Hollywood romanticized.
Yeah.
they're like, oh, well, she was a character, let's have her be a character, and let's make her a bigger character in the movie. But then she's subjected to just being a romance character and nothing else. And you could argue that she is involved in a more important manner in Fellowship of the Ring because she goes out and gets Frodo.
That didn't happen in the book, though.
And here's my point. First of all, yeah, that's the only time where she does anything remotely useful outside of complaining to her father that she wants to be with him.
I want to be with Aragorn. I choose a mortal life.
And reason number two, I have a problem with that. So, Elrond's portrayed throughout the whole series of the movies as like this super overprotective father. Why did he let her go out on her own when there were Nazgul outside of Rivendell?
It's one of those things, man.
You know, just
That's like one of the many plot holes that Peter Jackson's changes inevitably brought in to the series.
And yeah, it just
How about the Osgiliath sequence in Two Towers? Because here's another plot hole that they accidentally introduced. You have this Osgiliath sequence, which doesn't happen in the book.
Yeah.
That's the point. You have this Osgiliath sequence.
because like Faramir isn't even tempted by the ring in the books. He's like, I'm not Boromir, you know, like I wouldn't.
Right. So you have this sequence, and during this sequence, Frodo ends up straight up offering the ring to the Nazgul.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the Nazgul clearly see him with the ring right there.
You're talking about in the movie,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, I remember that part where he's like, he's sitting there holding it up like this, and the Nazgul's about to come down with his worm.
Yeah.
And
So, bear in mind, that happens at the end of the Two Towers.
Yeah.
You want to know how the Return of the King opens?
how's that?
With the incident between Pippin and the Palantir, which supposedly, because it happens in the book, leads Sauron into believing that Pippin is the ring bearer.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense now that you have this Osgiliath sequence, because why would Pippin, all the way in Estareth, in the land of the Rohirrim, have the ring if you literally just saw the ring at Osgiliath?
Yeah.
It's a huge glaring plot hole.
Well, I wouldn't say it was a glaring pothole. I would say that it's basically
Making Sauron look stupid. And,
like having very bad communication between your king and your commanders. It doesn't make any sense.
right.
Like at all.
Yeah. It's, again, it's
I
one of those...
actually didn't even think about that. Like that's
Yep.
yeah.
It's one of those things where he introduced the change, and sure, yeah, have the change, but if it leads to plot holes, or if it changes a character, or if it changes the themes,
That
that's
makes
where
Sauron look like an idiot, which he very clearly was not.
clearly was not, given the fact that this was basically the penultimate moment of a millennia-long plan that he had been working on for...
Like the longest game of chess to have ever existed.
Yeah, because I mean, you have to think. Like, I saw someone have a debate online. Was Sauron in the right to launch a massive attack on Minas Tirith when he did, or was he being hasty? And someone argued, no, he wasn't being hasty. Why? Because this was what he was planning the last 1,000 years for. Was this particular battle? He was planning on having it just be his orcs and the men from the east and the Sutherlings and whatnot, all coming together at the precise moment to make one big, indefensible battle against Minas Tirith.
Which that was his plan.
Right. And it goes beyond that, too, because he had also been making sure that rumors were spreading that the Rohirrim were giving horse tributes to Mordor. That way, Gondor and Rohan wouldn't have that alliance for when they go to strike that. So he was planning this intricately for like 1,000 years, making sure everything was exactly as it needed to be before he made this one big attack. And the only reason he failed that attack was because of a series of happenstances, a series of chance encounters that perfectly came together to screw up his plan.
That would probably be, if you ask me, that would almost sounds like something that Luthor play had.
Yeah, divine intervention comes to mind. Yeah.
Like Luthor's like, okay, buddy, you need to take a freaking chill pill.
But that's again, it's in line with.
Just in the first chapter alone, Luthor, it straight up says he hardly ever gets involved. He only does it if he absolutely has to.
Yeah, which in the case of Melkor and his uprising, he had to.
Yeah, like Melkor, like in the first chapter, it talks about how the song started with battle. You know, like the songs, they each had their own unique thing that eventually came together to form one glorious orchestrated piece, essentially.
Right.
And then Melkor wanted to be the loudest of the Valar, so he was trying to overpower him, and as a result, someone else, like another Valar, started doing the same thing, and it just kind of spread from there, becoming the Melkor's uprising. Luthor at first, he was like, okay, whatever, and then he rose his left hand, and his song got louder than Melkor's, and Melkor got even louder and spread his uprising more. And he rose both of his hands, and his got louder. Melkor was like, okay, we're going to do this then. He got even louder. And then Luthor stood up and did it, and that's what finally brought Melkor down.
Yeah. And you will find that those instances of Melkor rising up, Luthor countering it, those 3 instances of that do end up getting kind of repeated for all intents and purposes throughout the history of Middle-earth as a result.
Which doesn't surprise me. I mean, it's because like that.
Music is supposed to represent the history of
just be writing out the history like before it actually happens.
Yeah.
And I also remember reading this one part where, again, in the first chapter, where the Valar, while they were singing their hymns, they could see the history of Middle Earth playing out, you know. And then like when they went to Middle Earth, when they went to the Earth, what do they actually call the Earth? Like there's a name for it.
It would be Arda.
Arda?
Arda.
Yeah. Like, and then when they actually went to Arda, they found out that none of that had taken place yet. They didn't know that until they went to Arda.
Right. And of course, now that they're there, they're stuck there.
Yeah.
Because he straight up said, once you go down there, your fate is sealed to that place. So.
You cannot leave.
Yeah. So let's talk about The Hobbit.
Oh, God.
Since we got Lord of the Rings out of the way for the most part now, let's talk about The Hobbit.
We can still go do and talk about Lord of the Rings.
Is there anything specific you wanted to bring up?
Tom Bombadil!
Oh, God. Okay, I see. Look, as much as I love Tom Bombadil, I know why they took him out.
Wow.
We all know why. Yeah. Because it would have broken up the pacing. Literally, Tom Bombadil has been in no adaptation of The Lord of the Rings ever. Because all filmmakers will tell you it breaks up the visual pacing that a movie would rely on.
Yeah.
By too much of a margin.
John over here looking like freaking Dark Sidious.
Good. So I see why they took Tom Bombadil out. I get that.
Still. I mean, it would have been interesting to see someone who existed outside of the Rings influence. You know, like that would have been awesome.
Right.
You know, someone who literally sees it and like throws away like it's a random trick. Yeah. You know, it's pretty cool. I think it would be a cool aspect just to kind of give you like that kind of like brief glimpse of how the ring doesn't control everything. There is glimmers of hope.
Right.
You know, I think that's what Tom Bombadil could have done through movie adaptations.
That is true.
You know, one scene I find really, really ridiculous. It's not like a big scene or anything, but the part where after Denethor attempts to burn him and Faramir, he like sets himself on fire and he runs like, oh, you know how far it is from those crypts to the end of the walkway.
He would have been dead long before he got to the end.
Because the crypts are further back than they show you.
Yeah, they're like inside like catacombs and shit.
Are you serious?
Yes, like way back in the back of the.
So him running like doesn't happen.
They're like it wouldn't have worked. He would have died. They're like in the mountains, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, he would have died. He would have been dead long before he got to that edge. He would have probably made it about halfway through the catacombs and just right, you know. Yeah, in the movie they make it look like it's like 100 yards, but like 100 yard thing, like that's it. Like once 100 yards and you're good. You're off the edge.
Yeah, I find that scene extremely ridiculous.
It's a little ridiculous, but at the same time, if you ask me, it kind of I can understand why they changed it to that though, because
literally the only reason they changed it was it's more visually appealing. That's the thing about it. It is a good shot.
Yeah, you see Denethor completely snap. He's lost.
It's a tracking shot.
And he realized that for him there was no hope. He realized at that point, and showing him do that and then jump on.
I mean, I don't care for how they portrayed Denethor.
Yeah, and he wasn't that much of an asshole in the books. But also, speaking of him, they didn't have because he was supposed to have a Palantir in shit, and they didn't even really like.
Wait, Denethor had a Palantir in the movie?
Yeah, no, in the book he did.
And that actually plays into why he's become this sort of Shakespearean.
He's seen everything that's what Sauron's plans are.
He saw like the black sails come in. He thought like the Corsairs were supposed to come in and join the dark armies, but it was actually Aragorn and them that. It wasn't the army of the dead. It was actually Aragorn and all the rangers of the north. Yeah, that came in. And
I don't know, Dylan. Why don't you contribute to the discussion, dude? Defend your point. You said like you thought the movies were amazing. Defend your point.
I mean, I'm not going to argue that they're not amazing. I still deeply faithful. I deeply enjoy the Lord of the Rings. I do also look like Dark Sidious. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I deeply enjoy the movie.
they're not exactly true. They are in parts, but in other parts, not so much.
God damn it. It was fine. No, 1, 2. Don't argue in particular. Absolutely stop. 2. I said yeah, you know, I just
So what we were talking about Denethor.
Yes. So like the Palantir was a big thing. You know, he thought like they were doomed. Yeah. And like that there was no hope. You know, he saw like in the Palantir the black sails coming into the harbor and shit, and then all that.
Right. Yeah. Whereas his character simultaneously got downplayed downplayed the fact that he was actually a quite Shakespearean character.
He was actually really smart and shit. Like,
Yeah, he wasn't a snob like he's portrayed it.
You didn't see it.
Yeah, which that's what I meant by he was overplayed in the movie. Like they downplayed the crucial parts and then overplayed the rest of it.
Yeah, like he wasn't just like this crazy asshole old man that was like just.
Yeah, they again, it's another one, and that's tricky too because I'm not sure if that's just on the part of the actor who's portraying him, like deciding to portray him that way, or whether it's something Peter Jackson wanted to do. Like I don't know who to blame there for that. I almost want to blame Peter Jackson though because things that he almost did that didn't make it into the movie. One, he almost made Aragorn played by a young actor to try and make him a heartthrob to attract. Yeah, he almost did that. He also almost made the Mouth of Sauron be played by Kate Winslet. What? Yeah, I'm not joking on that. He almost cast Kate Winslet as the Mouth of Sauron. How do you do that?
Oh, speaking of Kate Winslet,
It has to be Kate Winslet though.
Alright, let's talk about the.
I'm sorry. Kate Winslet comes on screen. Just like some like 40 teenager that's seen the Titanic just looks at it and sees tits.
To be fair, I never did actually recognize the actor that does portray the Mouth of Sauron. You want to know who it is? The gyrocopter captain from Mad Max.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Oh my god, that's great.
Next time you look at his mouth, just focus on the shape of it.
They superimposed his mouth to make it look bigger.
Yeah, I know. I noticed. It's creepy.
You know, actually,
gross.
after I got all the extended cuts, I actually watched through all of the commentary for all three movies. It was quite an undertaking.
You're a stronger individual than I am. I would not have patience for that.
It was actually kind of, there was actually, like, I remember in the scene where they came up to the ruins of Orthanc, you know, like, there's all this water and whatever. When Billy, you know, the actor of Pippin, went to pick up the Palantir, he actually accidentally picked up a big piece of horse poop. Because, you know, there were horses, obviously, they can't make the horses not poop. So there's horse poop in the water. He went to pick up the Palantir and actually picked up a big chunk of horse poop.
That's nice.
And also speaking of that scene, you know, Peter Jackson tried to coach Christopher Lee how to react to how to act like being stabbed. He's like, Peter Jackson, I was in a war. I know what it sounds like. It's a.
See, that's the thing, you know, I feel like if Tolkien was still around and had control of who they were casting, I think he would have looked at Christopher Lee and go, yeah. Because if nothing else, Christopher Lee has also been in a war.
Yeah.
He's been in the same position Tolkien himself.
He knows, like,
I think we would have appreciated that.
Tolkien partook in World War I, correct?
Yes, he fought in the trenches.
Christopher Lee, I'm pretty sure, was World War II.
Yes.
So, that's
Yeah.
wow. Yeah, that would be
Yeah, so I feel like Tolkien would have appreciated that.
Yeah.
Just for the sake that Christopher Lee understood where he was coming from.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Anything else we want to mention about Lord of the Rings before we move on to The Hobbit?
Lothlorien. I had a lot of problems with the whole entire Lothlorien.
Let's begin, shall we?
What's Lothlorien?
The Lord Celeborn and Lady Helm.
Oh, okay,
I had a lot of problems with how they did that.
I will be
I'm a queen! Not dark but beautiful and terrible as the dawn! All shall love me and despair!
every freaky bastard teenage girl who
It was hammy how they portrayed it in the movie, but the worst part is that it actually does happen in the book. Yeah.
I just didn't envision her getting all like green and scary looking, really like
I know he says that like she starts glowing a color. I'm not sure what it was though. That's Farewell DeLorean. This would have been she And from the ring that she wore, there issued a great light that illuminated her alone and left all else dark. She stood before Frodo, seeming now tall beyond measurement and beautiful beyond enduring, terrible and worshipful. Then she let her hand fall, and the light faded, and suddenly she laughed again, and lo, she was shrunken, a slender elf woman clad in simple white, whose gentle voice was soft and sad.
So basically, like, she didn't say anything. It just showed, like,
oh no, she like the paragraph before that is her saying, and now at last it comes, you will give me the ring freely. In place of the Dark Lord, you will set up a queen, and I shall not be dark, but beautiful and terrible as the morning and the night, fair as the sea and the sun and the snow upon the mountain, dreadful as the storm and the lightning, stronger than the foundations of the earth. All shall love me and despair. Because that's more us. It's akin to what Gandalf tries to say about if he had the ring. Yeah. It's not that it would necessarily make them appear as corrupt and twisted and evil.
They would seek to do good, but the ring would be a terrible power through.
Right. It would corrupt what they do. And the worst part is, if it were in the hands of someone like Gandalf or Galadriel, all the people around them wouldn't perceive their acts as evil. They would fall in line and come to believe that, yeah, that makes sense. You know, it's coming from Gandalf, it's coming from Galadriel. It makes perfect sense. Yeah. You know, so that's the true evil thing.
Those who follow blindly.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, come on, those are two of the most trustworthy people in all of Middle-earth. Yeah.
It's like, I just feel like they didn't do that scene quite right. Like, I just, like it said, like what was it, bright light surrounding her or whatever.
Yeah, just, literally all they say is she appears to grow bright while everything else around her is dim.
Like, I don't think, like, the whole, like, green, like, that was a little much.
And the alternate voice I also find a little annoying.
Yeah.
Out of place. Yeah. Definitely out of place. Yeah. I think what they were trying to do was make it similar to a scene that you see way earlier in that same movie where Gandalf is trying to convince Bilbo to get off.
And it's all, like, big.
Yeah, like, and the shadow spreads around him. I think that's what they were, because his voice changes then, too. And I think that's what they were, I think that's what they were trying to do with that scene with Galadriel, but it does come off as really hammy and goofy, and yeah, kind of just.
Honestly, they should have done the same thing with had they done that scene like with the way they did with Gandalf, had they done the same thing with Galadriel, it probably would have turned out a lot better.
Right.
Like exactly the same, you know, like
especially given that maybe I'm wrong, I'll check, but I don't remember if that particular scene with Gandalf ever happened.
I'm pretty sure it happened, but I don't know if it happened the way it did in the movie.
Right, that's my thought.
Check how it, the part when they're in Rivendell, where, Bilbo asked Frodo if he could see the ring one last time, and look, for a split second, looks like Gollum.
yeah,
How creepy is that?
terrifying, dude. That scene alone scared the shit out of me when I was a little kid. Like literally, like you got the first time I watched it, it scared me so bad that like for like the next year and a half, every time that I watched it, I would always put my ears and cover my eyes for that part.
So literally all Tolkien said as far as that particular moment goes is, Gandalf's eyes flashed. It will be my turn to get angry soon, he said. If you say that again, I shall. Then you will see Gandalf the Grey uncloaked. He took a step towards the hobbit, and he seemed to grow tall and menacing. His shadow filled the little room. That's all he says about it.
Yeah.
So he doesn't look quite the way that the movie is.
Right. I mean,
What did Bilbo say to promote that though? He said you would take it for yourself, kind of thing. Did he actually say that?
hold on a second. That's a little bit too far. Right before that, he was saying, well, if you want my ring yourself, say so, cried Bilbo, but you won't get it. I won't give my precious away, I tell you. His hand straight to the hilt of his small sword.
Oh, so he was literally threatening Gandalf.
Yes, which is very stupid.
Well, not only stupid, but that also shows the power the ring has over Bilbo.
Yeah. And that's also after like 60 years of having the ring.
And also being a very close friend with Gandalf.
Yeah.
Too. You know, like it just shows the kind of influence that the ring can have over someone. The fact that like Bilbo has seen Gandalf's power, he knows how powerful Gandalf is, but the ring still got with a sword that's probably about this big, threatened Gandalf.
Yep. And yet, go figure, Bilbo is also the only ring bearer to ever willingly give up the ring. Only one.
So yeah, because Frodo was like, he went to drop it, he was like, it's mine, the ring is mine now.
Yep, the only reason they got in the fire was because of Gollum. Yeah. So the only ring bearer to willingly give up the ring was
It's like in the book, you know, the whole like Gollum bites off his finger and then he's like prancing around on the edge of the ledge. But yeah, so actually he just kind of dancing around and he just trips and falls in. Really, that's it. Yeah. No one pushes him. He just he just falls in.
Yeah. That's actually kind of lame, though. I mean,
Gollum at that. I mean, think about it.
he's so happy at that point that he got his precious back that he doesn't easily get careless.
Yeah, remember, it's been 60 years.
Yeah.
It's been a lot. Actually, at that point in the book, it's been closer to 70 years.
Yeah, because there was a 12 to 13 year gap between,
Right.
you know,
Bilbo leaving and
the actual
Frodo,
setting.
yeah.
But yeah, no, like I think the reason why like I actually kind of like in that particular sequence why I think I prefer the Peter Jackson scene is because I mean like yes, like, you know, he's so happy that he doesn't careless about his surroundings and shit, he doesn't really care, he just trips and falls. And yes, that does make sense. However, I really like seeing, you know, Frodo fighting Gollum for the ring. Like this just like you know, it's already obvious that Frodo is completely given into the ring because he refused to destroy it. You know, he's like, it's mine now.
You just like see him looking inside.
Yeah.
It's like,
It kind of once again shows what Frodo's willing to do, willing to punch someone higher up, not higher, but like a little fucking thin ass ledge, willing to fight someone to the death if necessary to get the ring back. It kind of shows that more, like that, more so the grasp that the ring had over Frodo.
That's why. It's not even so much just the fact that Gollum was being careless. It's the fact that he literally was looking up at the ring while moving around on the ledge.
Oh, okay.
So he straight up was not paying attention to his footing. And he's saying, precious, 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 Gollum cried, my precious, oh my precious. And with that, even as his eyes were lifted up to gloat on his prize, he stepped too far, toppled, lingered for a moment on the brink, and then with a shriek he fell. Out of the depths came his last wail, precious, and he was gone.
Damn. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like the original sequence was still awesome. You know, like the idea that Gollum was actually the fact that he had finally gotten what he was fighting so hard to get back, and then he fucking died shortly after. I mean, like that's cool and everything, but I definitely prefer the Peter Jackson scene in terms of that. People would probably blast me because of shit like that, but you know.
But I think it's partly just the fact that, I don't know, the way Tolkien portrays it in the book, Frodo's at that point just more concerned about his missing finger than,
Which makes sense, you know.
yeah.
I mean, like, but then, like, that's another reason why I also like Peter Jackson's sequence for that particular part, because, like, he's so obsessed with the ring at this point that the fact that his finger is now gone, he does not give two fucks. Oh,
That's actually your second drop in the last 5 minutes. Yeah, actually. Really? So I didn't catch the third one.
oh my god.
I'm probably going to end up putting in the description viewers beware language used.
I got you. I'm sorry. I keep trying to get it's so natural for me, you know.
But, yeah, you're funny. I don't know.
One thing I think everyone can agree on, at least I hope everyone can agree on this. Elijah Wood plays one damn good Frodo. No?
I think that's something I was saving for as long as possible. Look, before I even get into that, I'm going to say the reason why I don't agree with you on Frodo fighting for the ring after that. That was the last straw for Frodo, was when he went to try and actually toss it in the fire. That was the thinking about, are they feeling very drunk? No, they're probably feeling all that pain.
Depending on how drunk they are.
Alright, here's an example. The night I drunk texted my mom.
Yeah.
And my mom texted back and not told me. I shot out of the evacuation in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Now, see,
I feel like that's what Tolkien was trying to do there.
yeah, like I said, I still love, J.R.R. Tolkien's writing for that sequence. I still like it, But the reason why, again, I prefer Peter Jackson's sequence in terms of that is because, like it's not even on his person anymore, but it wasn't on Gold's person for 70 some odd years. I mean, granted, he had more time with the ring, he had a lot more time with the ring, but showing Frodo still trying to get it back,
I also feel like that would have dampened Frodo's character.
what?
Had he actually violently tried to get the ring back from him.
But how?
Because in those last moments, yeah, sure, Frodo puts on the ring, but then once it's in Gollum's hands, that's it. Frodo doesn't actively try to pursue it any longer.
Yeah.
Whereas in the movie, he is violently attempting to get it back. That does not portray the kind of Frodo that Tolkien would have wanted to portray. He wanted to portray an unlikely hero. But having him violently trying to get the ring back and then only being free of it once Gollum falls in,
Once it's actually just kind of lessens the character.
right, it increases the aspect that Frodo was a slave to the ring rather than,
He was the hero of the story.
right.
Okay, that's fair. Now, this is one of those things where I know really, if you really think about it, no matter how much we debate it, neither of us is going to change our opinion on it.
I'm not even considering this a debate. I'm just straight up. We're just discussing changes from when we.
I do have that. So why do you think? Why do you not so much like Elijah Wood as Frodo?
It's not Elijah Wood's fault. It's entirely the fault.
Yeah, I mean, like you probably do so much with the script.
It's the fact that they, like throughout the series, Frodo is very clearly falling prey to the tricks of Gollum.
Yeah.
Not anymore. In the book, Sam's like, Master Frodo, Gollum's like talking himself off here, he's having a plan, and Frodo's like, yeah, I know, I'm keeping an eye on it, trust me. Yeah,
He didn't do the whole thing in the book where he's like, go home, Sam, like that. None of that happened.
really?
Wow, that's kind of lame.
But then how does Sam get away in this?
Because the whole shop sequence with Shaw still sings Frodo. Sam thinks Frodo's dead, and then takes the ring and sing on highs, and then the orcs come take him. Yeah. But like he never actually like sent Sam. That is all very after the last. Something I thought it would be like thicker. That's probably because it's such big pages, though. The dimensions of the books that I'm thinking of were like marks that are roughly this size. was being good in the book, but it was only an act. Well, there was no like change of heart. It was just Smeagol like playing good, so yeah, he could find one guy at some point and get his chance to get the ring. Yeah. We should talk about the Hobbit now, because we spent the last almost hour and a half.
Also try to sneak in a little bit about the cartoons before we go.
I was just gonna say before we go to the Hobbit one, I think like we should briefly touch on the Return of the King cartoon.
I've never actually seen it. So I don't.
It's not nearly as good as the Hobbit cartoon.
Okay.
I know the Hobbit though.
For starters, the Rankin Bass Return of the King cartoon,
That was awesome.
I've shown him clips. Oh, yeah. It has musical moments.
It's musical.
You can tell him some stuff like, I have a few clips I'm going to be looking up. You're telling me they took the dark aspect of Return of the King and turned it into a children's cartoon. Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay, the movie starts out, they're all at Women Dolly.
Working.
Yeah, okay, that's it. That's the people that work. So they're at lunch and they're basically recounting the tale of Frodo's tale. And it starts out this bar, all the bars just start singing Frodo, the 9 fingers, and the ring of doom.
Wow. Yeah. It's, wow.
There's also this moment in the Yes and Mordor. Soundtrack.